Focus on yourself, and don't waste your life written and published by Audiobook wisdom. How many more days are you going to give away your time to what doesn't build you up? How many more hours are you going to bury in empty distractions, in soulless conversations, in routines you repeat only out of inertia? Stop for a moment. Breathe. Ask yourself this question with brutal honesty. If you don't wake up tomorrow, you can say you've truly lived. We're not here to embellish reality. There's no dress rehearsal, there's no second performance. This is your only life, and the hourglass is already ticking, grain by grain, minute by minute. Your existence is slipping away. Your time is life. Don't give it away. Most people know this, but almost no one acknowledges it. We run around looking for validation from others, comparing ourselves, chasing impossible perfection, numbing ourselves with instant entertainment. And so, when we least expect it, we discover we've wasted years on something that never brought us closer to the person we dreamed of being. Imagine a ship moored in the harbor, waiting for the perfect day of wind and tide to set sail. That day never arrives, and the ship, made for sailing, rusts on the shore. Likewise, dreams wither when you decide to postpone your life for later. The truth is uncomfortable, but liberating. Lost time never comes back. You can't recover even a minute of yesterday. All you have is now. That's why today I want to give you a clear, straightforward order. Focus on yourself. Stop wasting your life. It's not about selfishness, but about respect. Respect for your time, your energy, your purpose. It's about stopping diluting yourself in what doesn't matter, to invest every moment in what truly builds your path. In the following pages, we will take a profound and practical journey together. You will learn to stop seeking the perfection that paralyzes you, to protect your focus as the most sacred treasure, to live in the present instead of postponing your life. You will learn to say no, to stop comparing yourself, to listen to your internal responses, and to define your own version of success, because if you don't decide, the world will decide for you, and that is the greatest waste of all. So open your eyes, open your mind, and open your heart. This is your calling. Act now. Chapter 1. Don't seek perfection. There is a painter whose story was trapped in the memory of his people. Every day he locked himself in his studio with the promise of finishing the most beautiful painting that had ever existed. He had talent, he had passion, he had time, but he also had a silent enemy: perfection. He always found a stroke that didn't suit him, a color that wasn't pure enough, a shade that needed further adjustment, and so the days, weeks, months, and finally years passed. The canvas never left his studio. No one ever contemplated that masterpiece, because for him it was never ready. He died with the brush in his hand and with the bitter certainty of having lived more in the illusion of perfection than in the act of creating. His life was a painful example of what it means to remain stuck, waiting for an ideal moment that never arrives. Perfection is a mirage. It seems to promise you security, acceptance, recognition, but in reality it is an invisible chain that ties you to inaction. It's like a ship that remains moored in the harbor, waiting for the sea to be completely calm and the wind to blow in exactly the right direction. That ship will never sail. It rusts silently while the world keeps turning. So too do dreams that are never launched for fear of not being perfect. Modern psychology has studied this phenomenon. Numerous studies have shown that perfectionism is closely linked to procrastination and high levels of anxiety and stress. Those who seek to do everything perfectly often fall into a mental trap. Since nothing is good enough, they procrastinate, revise again and again, postpone the start, and punish themselves for not moving forward. They become a slave to an impossible standard that paralyzes them. Perfectionism doesn't lead to success, it leads to stagnation. Think about this. How many projects have you left halfway because you felt they weren't ready yet? How many opportunities have you turned down because you believed it wasn't enough yet? How many times have you hidden behind the excuse of, "I'll do it when I'm better prepared"? That's the voice of perfection stealing your life. Every time you give in to that voice, you give away minutes and hours that will never return. Remember, your time is life. Don't give it away to the mirage of perfection. Instead of striving for perfection, adopt a much more powerful mindset, that of good enough. The Japanese have a concept called kaizen, which means continuous improvement, advancing little by little with small steps that bring you closer to your goal. They don't expect absolute perfection. They trust in evolution. If you apply the 70% rule, when something is good enough, you launch it, you share it, you do it. You'll take the leap that many never dare to take, because imperfect progress will always be more valuable than imaginary perfection. Visualize it this way. You're on a dock with a bucket of water. Every time you procrastinate, waiting for the perfect moment, it's as if you have holes in the bucket. The water, which is your life energy, slowly drains away until it's empty. When you finally decide to move, there's nothing left to move forward with. Perfectionism drains your energy like a leaky bucket. On the other hand, if you act with what you have today, even if it's 70% ready, even if it's not perfect, you take advantage of the water before it's lost. Some of humanity's most revolutionary advances were born imperfect. The first automobile was noisy and clumsy, but it opened the door to modern mobility. The first mobile phone was large, expensive, and limited, but it ushered in an era that changed communication forever. If its creators had waited for perfection, perhaps you wouldn't enjoy any of it today. Greatness isn't in getting it perfect from the start, but in taking the first step and allowing improvement to happen along the way, in your personal life. It's the same. You want to start exercising. Don't wait for the perfect workout clothes or the perfect gym. Start today with whatever you have, even if it's just a 10-minute walk. Do you want to start a business? Don't wait for the most detailed plan in the world or millions of dollars in capital. Start with what's within your reach. Do you want to write a book? Don't wait for all your ideas to fit together like a perfect puzzle. Start writing the first page, even if you later correct it. The important thing isn't perfection. The important thing is the movement. Movement generates clarity, generates confidence, generates results. Every imperfect action is a seed that can grow and transform. Every day you procrastinate waiting for the perfect moment is a day lost, buried forever in the cemetery of excuses. Now I want you to consider a simple practice. Every time you find yourself stuck thinking, "It's not ready yet," ask yourself, "This is at least 70%. If the answer is yes, act, publish, deliver, share, launch. The world doesn't need your perfection, it needs your progress. And you don't need the burden of eternal waiting. You need the freedom of having acted. Imagine your life 10 years from now. Do you want to look back and say, "I didn't start because I was waiting for the perfect moment"? Or do you prefer to remember that, even with fear, even with doubts, you took steps that led you to places you never imagined? Perfection is static, dead, rigid. Progress is dynamic, alive, expansive, and life always favors those who move. Remember this metaphor. A flowing river, even if its waters are turbulent, always advances, always finds a way. A pond that remains still, seeking to be perfect, only rots. Your life should be a river, not a pond. Movement doesn't wait. Don't seek perfection, seek action. Don't wait for everything to align. Move with what you have. The ship that sets sail with doubts will always travel further than the one that never left the port. And here's the key. Once you act, your greatest treasure will be protecting what will allow you to stay the course. That treasure is your focus, because starting is vital, but continuing with clarity is what truly transforms your life. In the next chapter, you'll learn how to defend your attention from the constant noise that threatens to steal the most sacred thing you have, your ability to focus on what truly matters. Chapter 2. Protect your focus. Imagine a typical workday. You sit down at your computer with the firm intention of moving forward on an important project, but barely 5 minutes have passed and your phone vibrates. A message in a group chat, you check it. Then a social media notification. Then an email you can't put off. When you look at the clock, 2 hours have passed, and all you have is a scattered, tired, and frustrated mind. What could have been a productive day turned into a battlefield where your attention was devoured piece by piece. This scene is not an isolated one. In fact, recent studies show that the average person receives between 50 and 100 notifications a day on their phone, and each interruption, even a small one, can cost you 20 to 30 minutes of real focus to get back to the mental state you were in. That means a single interruption can destroy almost half an hour of your life. Do the math. If you lose that focus 5 times a day, that's more than 2 hours wasted. 2 hours each day equals 14 hours a week, almost 2 full days of your existence spent not creating, not growing, but dealing with worthless distractions. The truth is, focus is the most valuable currency in this age of overstimulation, and few realize that protecting it is protecting their life. Your time is life, but your focus is the lens that gives direction to that time. Without focus, your life scatters like water spilled on the ground. It flows everywhere, but fills nothing. With focus, that same water concentrates in a channel and can move mountains. Professor Carl Newport, author of the famous book Deep Work, explains that the ability to work deeply without distractions for extended periods of time is today's true superpower. It's not intelligence, it's not luck, it's not innate talent. It's the ability to protect your focus in a world designed to steal it. Newport demonstrates that people who master this art achieve extraordinary results, not because they get more done, but because they manage to enter a state of depth that multiplies the value of each minute invested. And yet, most live with a leaky bucket. Every notification, every interruption, every unnecessary conversation is a hole through which your ability to concentrate escapes. Imagine that. You carry a bucket full of water to water your garden, but as you walk, the water constantly drips through small cracks. By the time you arrive, there's barely a trickle left. The same thing happens with your focus. Even if you start the day energized, you end up exhausted because you've let it escape in small spurts of attention. Protecting your focus is an act of rebellion against distraction. It's a commitment to your life. And this is where the discipline of creating clear boundaries comes in. You can't expect the world to respect your attention if you don't defend it yourself. That's why you need rituals, techniques, and boundaries that transform your focus into a sacred space. One of the most powerful and simple tools is the Pomodoro technique. It consists of working with absolute concentration for 25 minutes and then taking a 5-minute break. Every 4 blocks, a longer break. It may seem trivial, but it's a method backed by neuroscience. The human brain works better in short, intense intervals than in long marathons of forced attention. With Pomodoro, you train your mind to enter a state of deep focus, and you do so without exhausting it. Another crucial habit is deleting notifications. You don't need your phone interrupting you every time someone reacts with an emoji on social media. Most of those interruptions add nothing to your life. If something is truly important, it will arrive through the right channels. Turn off notifications. Mute unnecessary groups. Stop being a slave to the constant ping. Every sound you ignore is a burglar who can't break into your house. Also, every morning you should ask yourself what the 3 most important things are that I need to accomplish today. Not 10, not 20, just 3. Write them down on paper and commit to finishing them before opening the door to the rest of your tasks. This simple practice has a transformative effect. It turns your day into a field of directed focus, not a jungle of dispersion. Focus isn't just about productivity, it's about presence. When you protect your attention, you not only get more done, but you live more intensely in the moment. Think of a conversation with someone you love. If your mind is on your phone, you're not. You are there. If your mind is on 10 things at once, you are not there. But if your focus is on that person, even for just 10 minutes, that moment becomes eternal. Focus turns the ordinary into the extraordinary. Some believe multitasking is a sign of efficiency. Science proves otherwise. Multitasking is simply switching contexts over and over again, which wastes mental energy and reduces the quality of what you do. You are not a computer that opens multiple windows. You are a human being, and your mind flourishes when it focuses on one thing at a time. I want you to think of the sun. Its scattered rays warm, but they do not transform. However, when concentrated through a magnifying glass, they can ignite a fire. That's how your focus works. Scattered, it barely warms. Concentrated, it can burn away the impossible today more than ever. Protecting your focus is protecting your destiny. It's not about doing more, it's about doing the essentials with maximum depth. It's not about living in a rush, but about living with direction. And that direction only exists when your attention is fully focused on what truly matters. Apply these actions. Work in blocks of focus. Eliminate unnecessary notifications. Define your 3 daily priorities. And above all, remember every day that your focus is non-negotiable. If you give it away, you give away your life. If you protect it, you multiply your existence. The previous chapter taught you that you don't need perfection to get started, but now you know that once you begin, your mission is to protect your attention, because without focus, all progress is diluted, and with focus, even a small step becomes a giant one. In the next chapter, you will discover something even deeper, that life isn't waiting for you in a perfect future, but rather happens here at this very moment. You will learn that real time isn't tomorrow, isn't later, isn't when everything is in order. Life only exists now, and if you don't live it today, you will never live it. Chapter 3. Life is now. I know the story of a woman who dreamed of traveling. For years she talked about touring cities, getting to know cultures, seeing with her own eyes the places she only saw in photographs, but she always put it off for later. When I have more money, she told herself, when my children are older, when I retire. And so, one after another, the years passed. Later never came. Illness overtook her before the trip. She died without having seen a single place she longed for. Her story is not unique. Millions of people postpone their dreams waiting for a future that never appears. Life isn't up ahead. Life doesn't begin when you get the ideal job, when you lose weight, when you find the perfect partner, or when retirement arrives. Life is happening right now, in this instant as you breathe, in this moment as you hear these words. Every second that slips away is another grain in the hourglass, and that clock never stops. No matter how much you pray, no matter how long you hope, every grain that falls is lost forever. We live deluded by the idea that the future is a sure promise. We tell ourselves, tomorrow I'll start, next week will be better. When everything is aligned, I'll do it. But the future is only a hypothesis, a mental illusion. The only real thing is now. Tomorrow doesn't exist yet, and yesterday is already gone. You only have this moment, and if you don't take advantage of it, you lose it. Think of an hourglass on the table. The grains that have already fallen represent your past. You can't bring them back up. Those at the top represent your future. They're not yet in your hands. The only thing you truly possess are the grains that at this moment are slowly passing through the narrow center. That's your present. That's your life. Positive psychology has shown that the happiest people are not those who have everything, nor those who expect a perfect tomorrow, but those who have learned to inhabit the present. The practice of mindfulness is a clear example. Scientific studies confirm that those who train their minds to be in the here and now experience less anxiety, less stress, and greater life satisfaction. It's not magic, it's simply reality. When you live in the present, you truly live. However, most of us take refuge in 2 traps, the past and the future. The past fills us with guilt and nostalgia. The future fills us with fears and expectations. And as we jump from one to the other, the only thing we have slips away. The now is like holding a present in your hands and not opening it because you're thinking about your next birthday. I want to suggest a simple but powerful exercise. Stop for a minute. Breathe deeply. Inhale for a count of 4. Hold for a moment and exhale for a count of 6. Do it again. And while you breathe, ask yourself, what is happening in my body right now? Component placement. What do I listen to my surroundings? Logos. What do I feel here and now? This small act of awareness is a way of reminding you that life isn't in your head. It isn't in the what-ifs. It isn't in the whens and whens of life. It's here. And when you train your mind to return again and again to the present, you regain the key to your existence. Living in the now doesn't mean ignoring the future or lacking plans. It means stopping postponing your life, hoping that future will save you. It means acting today with what you have, because tomorrow is uncertain. It means not postponing your happiness for a time that may never come. How many times have you told yourself, "I'll be happy when I lose weight, when I find a partner, when I get a promotion, when I buy a house"? And when that comes, what happens? Happiness shifts a little further. "I'll be happy when I achieve the next thing." And so you spend your life running after a mirage you never reach. The key is not to condition your life to what will come, but to learn to enjoy and build with what you already have. Remember, no one guarantees you tomorrow. Thousands of people today will not have a new dawn. I'm not saying this to scare you, I'm saying it to wake you up. The gift of opening your eyes every morning is the greatest opportunity you have. Don't waste it on the illusion that the true beginning is just around the corner. The present will not always be comfortable. There may be pain, there may be uncertainty, there may be fear, but even that is life. And when you accept it, go through it, and live it, you grow. The opposite is to anesthetize yourself with distraction so as not to feel, to postpone, to avoid facing it, dreaming of a perfect future instead of acting in the imperfect present. Ask yourself this question: if you knew you wouldn't wake up tomorrow, what would you choose to do today? Maybe you would call someone you love. Maybe you would write those words you've been saving for years. Maybe you would finally dare to take that step you've been putting off. So why wait? You don't need a final judgment to start living. You need courage to do it now. Living in the present also means setting aside time for yourself, because there's no point in acknowledging that life is now if you give everything to others and have nothing left. You must protect your time like you protect your breathing. Just as no one can breathe for you, no one can live your present for you. Giving it away to someone who doesn't value it is wasting your only chance. Starting today, repeat it like a mantra. My life is now, not tomorrow. Every time your mind wants to drag you to the after, bring it back to the present. Breathe, feel, act, because only when you dwell in the moment can you build a different tomorrow. The previous chapter showed you that focus is your secret weapon for moving forward. Now you know that the present is the arena where that weapon is used, because focus without presence is like a sword that is never drawn. And the present without focus is a gift you never open. Both are needed, and both return you to the most powerful truth. Life is now. In the next chapter, we will discover another vital principle. If you want to live fully in the present, you must learn to protect your time from others, because it is often it's not digital distraction that steals your life, but other people's demands, empty commitments, relationships that drain your energy. And if you don't know how to say no, you'll never have a true yes for yourself. Chapter 4. Don't give your time to others. There's a story that repeats itself all too often. A man with big plans for his life decides every week to postpone them because someone asked him for a favor. He accepts unnecessary meetings, attends social engagements he doesn't enjoy. He listens for hours to complaints that get him nowhere. At the end of the month, he feels exhausted, empty, without having made a single step toward his own dreams. And yet, when someone else calls, he says yes again. Little by little, his life is consumed by other people's agendas, while his own becomes blank. Your time is the most valuable resource you possess. You can't save it, you can't multiply it, you can't get it back. Every hour you give never returns, and yet many squander it as if it were infinite. We say we don't have time for the important things, but in reality, we give it away to the insignificant. The truth is harsh. It's not that you don't have time, it's that you're giving it away to something that doesn't deserve your life. Imagine it this way. Your time is like a glass of crystal clear water. Every time you share it with someone, you pour a little of that water into their cup. But if that cup is broken, what you give is wasted. No matter how much you give, it will never fill anything. You'll end up with your glass empty, thirsty, exhausted, with nothing for yourself. That's what relationships, commitments, and obligations are like. They contribute nothing to your growth. They absorb your energy, and they let it out like water in a broken vessel. It's not about becoming selfish or rejecting everything that comes from the outside. It's about recognizing that saying yes to others is often saying no to yourself. Every commitment you accept is a decision about how you will spend your life, and if you're not aware of this, you end up a prisoner of other people's expectations. The problem is that we struggle to say no. We're afraid of disappointing, of seeming rude, of missing out on opportunities. We think being kind means always being available, but kindness can't come at the cost of your own existence. Saying yes to everything is a slow form of soul suicide. Psychology confirms this. Studies on assertiveness show that those who know how to set clear boundaries enjoy greater emotional well-being, less stress, and more personal satisfaction. Because every time you say no to what doesn't matter, you're saying yes to what truly builds your life. I want to give you some tools to reclaim your time without feeling guilty. The first is to learn to say no respectfully, but firmly. You don't need to justify yourself with elaborate excuses. Phrases like, "I appreciate it, but I can't right now. Thanks for thinking of me, but I'm not going to participate," are enough. Or simply, "No thank you." Brief, clear, and guilt-free. The second tool is to review your schedule each week and ask yourself, which of these activities contribute to my growth, my peace, my goals? And which are just empty commitments? Ruthlessly eliminate the unnecessary. Remember, every hour you recover is an hour of life that comes back to you. The third tool is to set your priorities before others do it for you. If you don't decide how to use your time, someone else will, and almost never for your benefit. Write down your most important goals and core values, and every time someone asks you for something, compare it to that list. If it doesn't fit, decline. It's not about isolating yourself from the world, it's about living with intention. Imagine your life is a garden. If you allow anyone to come in and pick flowers, soon nothing beautiful will remain. But if you establish a fence, if you decide who enters and under what conditions, your garden will blossom. So too, your life blossoms when you set boundaries. Remember this metaphor. Every time you say yes to something you don't want, it's like handing over gold coins in exchange for breadcrumbs. Your time is pure gold, and you should treat it as such. Don't exchange it for something that doesn't feed your soul. Do some practical reflection. Write down in a notebook the 3 most recent situations in which you said yes when you really meant no. Analyze what made you agree. Fear, guilt, habit. Then write down how you might respond differently next time. This simple exercise trains your mind and heart to protect your time. When you learn to say no, you'll feel uncomfortable at first, but you'll soon discover something liberating. People begin to respect you more because those who know how to set boundaries demonstrate self-worth, and those who respect themselves inspire respect in others. Your time is finite. If you give it away to things that don't matter, you won't have room for things that do. And then one day you'll look back and discover that you've lived the life others chose for you, not the one you wanted, that you desired. Don't allow that to happen. Saying no means rejecting people. It means honoring your path. It means wisely choosing where you put your energy. It means taking care of yourself so you can truly give, not from exhaustion or obligation, but from abundance. The previous chapter showed you that life only exists now, but now you understand something else. If you give that present without measure to others, you will stop living it yourself. Learning to reserve your time is the next step on your journey toward a purposeful life. And here the natural connection arises. When you stop giving your time to others, you also stop comparing yourself to them, because you no longer live based on their expectations, but based on your own progress. The next chapter will show you how to free yourself from external comparison and learn to measure yourself only against the most important person, your yesterday. Chapter 5. Compare yourself only to yourself. On a running track, an experienced runner was preparing for the race of his life. He had been training for months. He had perfected every step, every breath. But when the starting gun went off, instead of focusing on his own pace, he started glancing sideways at the runner next to him. Every time he saw him overtake, he sped up. Every time he seemed to fall behind, he slowed down. He ended up exhausted, uncoordinated, and crossed the finish line last. He later confessed that he had lost not because of a lack of preparation, but because he had never run his own race. That's what happens to many of us in life. We spend our days watching what others are doing, how much they earn, what they publish, where they go. They travel, what achievements they show, And every comparison robs us of peace, leads us astray, and fills us with frustration. External comparison is an endless race because there will always be someone with more, with something better, with something different that you don't have. And if you live measuring your worth by someone else's yardstick, you'll never feel enough. The problem is that social media has amplified this poison. Today we can see the brightest moments in the lives of millions of people with a single click. But what we see is only a showcase, a carefully edited window display. No one shows their tears in the early morning, their hidden failures, their internal battles. We compare our behind the scenes with the illuminated stage of others and lose sight of the fact that it's not a fair measure. Psychology explains this clearly. Those who focus on external social comparison tend to experience more anxiety, envy, and depression. In contrast, those who practice self-comparison, that is, measuring themselves against themselves, show higher levels of motivation and satisfaction. Because instead of looking outward for validation, they look inward for progress. Imagine a mirror every morning instead of asking yourself, "Am I better than them?" Ask yourself, "Am I better than yesterday?" That's the only standard that matters. Your race isn't against the world, it's against the version of yourself you were in the past. If today you are a little more disciplined, more aware, braver than yesterday, you've already won. Think of a musician who practices their instrument every day. They don't need to be better than everyone else. They just need to be better than he was a week ago. That progress accumulated drop by drop turns him into a master over time. That's how your life works. Personal progress is a bridge built with small bricks of daily improvement. I want to suggest a powerful exercise. Keep a progress journal, not a journal of complaints, but of growth. Every night, write down 3 things you made progress on, even if they were minimal. Today I resisted the temptation to procrastinate. Oh, today I was more patient with someone. Today I advanced a page on my project. At first it will seem insignificant, but after months, you will have a record of your own evolution. And when your mind tries to trick you into thinking you're not changing, you will have concrete evidence that you are. Remember the mirror metaphor. Don't compare yourself to the reflection of others because you don't see the whole picture. Compare yourself to yourself because that's where you can see the before and after. And every time you notice a small advance, celebrate it. Self-comparison is not to punish you but to motivate you. Don't forget that each person runs in a different lane. Yours has its own distance, its own terrain, its own curves. Maybe today it seems to you that someone is ahead, but perhaps they are on another track with different rules. Comparing yourself to them is as absurd as a fish measuring its worth by a bird's ability to fly. You have your own design, your own purpose. There is an African proverb that says, "The grass does not grow faster because you look at it." The lives of others will not become smaller or larger because of your comparison, but your energy will wither if you waste it looking around, instead of looking forward. Ask yourself honestly how much of your time is spent looking at what others are doing instead of focusing on what you can build. How much of your energy is wasted on silent envy instead of using it to grow. That diverted energy is wasted life, and you already know your time is life. Don't give it away to comparison. I want you to engrave this image in your mind. You run on a track with mirrors on either side. Every time you look outside, you stumble. Every time you look back, you lose speed. Only when you look ahead and see your own reflection from yesterday do you find direction. That's the race that matters, yours. External comparison is also unfair because everyone starts from a different point. Some are born with more resources, others with more difficulties, but what matters isn't where you start, but how far you advance from your beginning. It's not about finishing first, it's about not stopping. Make self-comparison a habit. Every morning ask yourself what I can do today to be 1% better than I was yesterday. That 1% seems small, but over time it adds up. A 1% daily improvement becomes a gigantic transformation in a year. That's the magic of compounding progress. The previous chapter showed you the importance of protecting your time from others. This one teaches you to protect your mind from comparison. Both are thieves. One steals your hours, the other steals your peace. But when you say no and when you stop looking outside, you start looking inside, and there, deep inside, you'll discover that most of the answers you seek were already with you all along. In this chapter, we will explore that truth. You will see how the greatest treasure is not in external approval or comparison, but in the chest you carry within. Because only those who dare to look at themselves honestly find the strength to define their destiny. Chapter 6. The answers are within you. There is an ancient parable about a young man named Adrian. He spent his days searching for a treasure that, according to legend, was hidden somewhere in the world. He traveled through cities, crossed seas, climbed mountains, asked wise men, merchants, and travelers, but no one gave him a clear answer until an old man, with an enigmatic smile, handed him a map. Adrian followed it with hope. He endured storms, hunger, and exhaustion. Finally, after years of searching, he reached the marked place, a chest buried under a tree. With trembling hands, he opened it and inside found a mirror. The treasure was not in distant lands, but within him. All his life, he had searched outside for what he had always carried within. This story holds a truth that many ignore. The answers you seek are not in the approval of others, nor in trendy books, nor in opinions that change with the wind. They are within you. The noise of the world may confuse you, but your inner voice never lies. The problem is that we rarely take the time to listen to it. We live so busy chasing external success, recognition, and validation that we forget to look within. And so we spend our lives searching for borrowed compasses when the most reliable one has always been in our hearts. Modern psychology supports this idea. Numerous studies show that conscious self-reflection improves decision-making, strengthens resilience, and increases clarity of purpose. When you stop to examine your own thoughts and emotions, you uncover hidden patterns, identify limiting beliefs, and access a level of practical wisdom that no external advice can replace. Think about this. How many times have you sought advice from everyone else only to realize that deep down you already knew what you needed to do? Maybe you needed courage, not answers. Maybe you needed permission, not approval. The truth is, your intuition is wiser than you think, but to listen to it you need silence. Today's world fills us with noise, notifications, opinions, comparisons, and expectations. Each one is like a layer of dust covering your inner mirror. If you don't clean that mirror, you stop seeing who you really are. Self-reflection is that act of cleansing, removing layer upon layer, until you finally see yourself clearly. I want to propose a simple and transformative habit. Every night before you go to sleep, write down 3 questions and answer them with brutal honesty. 1. What did I do right today that brings me closer to the life I want? 2. What did I do wrong or neglect that I need to improve on tomorrow? 3. What am I really feeling right now? And what does it teach me about myself? This exercise won't take more than 10 minutes, but it can change your life because little by little you'll begin to recognize your patterns, detect your strengths and your shadows, and discover that the compass was always within you. Remember, personal growth is not about collecting information, but about integrating wisdom. It's not about reading more books, but about applying the answers you already know, but don't dare to obey. Think of a tree. Its branches stretch toward the sky, but its strength comes from the roots hidden underground. You are the same. Your visible achievements are sustained by the solidity of your inner world. If you neglect your roots, any storm will knock you down. But if you dig deep within yourself, you will find stability even in the midst of chaos. Deep within, you will also discover something essential, your true definition of success. Many believe they look for answers outside because they don't trust their own. But when you learn to listen to yourself, you discover that you don't need to follow anyone else's map. You don't need public applause or the approval of the crowd. You just need to be true to what resonates within you. Experiment. Every time you have to make an important decision, instead of asking 10 people, what would they do? Be silent, breathe, write down what you feel, and ask yourself, which choice brings me closer to the life I want? That internal answer is more honest than any external opinion. Don't confuse this with ignoring the learning of others. Listening to experiences can be helpful, but it should never replace your own compass. You can be inspired by someone's path, but ultimately you must walk on your own 2 feet. When you learn to listen to your inner self, you free yourself from the constant need for validation. You no longer need to prove anything because you already know who you are. You no longer live in fear of judgment because your inner voice is louder than the external voices, and that is true freedom. Remember this. Metaphor. Your life is like a ship in the middle of the sea. You can listen to the advice of other captains, but the helm is in your hands. If you don't trust your inner compass, you'll end up adrift, sailing toward ports you don't want to be. The previous chapter taught you to stop comparing yourself to others and measure yourself only against your former self. This chapter goes a step further. It reminds you that the answers are not outside, but inside. Only by looking within can you find authentic direction. In the next chapter, we'll discover how once you begin to listen to that inner voice, an inevitable question arises. What does success mean to you? Not the success others tout. Not the one that glitters on the surface, but the one that truly makes your life meaningful. There, you'll learn to define your own concept of success, one that guides you with clarity and purpose. Chapter 7. Define your own success. There was a man who dedicated his entire life to building a fortune. From a young age, he worked tirelessly, accumulating achievements, titles, and recognition. His house was enormous, his car luxurious, his schedule always full. From the outside, everyone admired him as a paragon of success. But every night when he was alone, he felt an unbearable emptiness. He had earned money, but he had lost his peace. He had a huge bed, but he couldn't sleep. He had earned the approval of thousands, but he had distanced himself from himself. Finally, he realized something painful. He had reached the wrong mountaintop. That's what happens to too many people. They chase a definition of success that doesn't belong to them, imposed by society, by family, by comparison. But when they arrive, they discover that what they achieved doesn't fill their soul, because true success isn't universal, it's personal. Defining your own success is an act of freedom. It means letting go of external expectations and bravely asking yourself, what does a life well lived mean to me? Maybe it's not money. Maybe it's not fame. Maybe it's not having more than others. Maybe it's the peace of mind of reading every night with your children, the satisfaction of creating something you love, the peace of living in alignment with your values. Society sells us a suit of success that looks shiny, but often doesn't fit our size. It's like an elegant tailored suit, but made for another body. You can put it on, but it's tight, uncomfortable, and doesn't let you breathe. True fulfillment comes when you allow yourself to design your own suit, even if it doesn't follow the current fashions. Remember the fable of the tortoise and the hare. The hare laughed because it was fast, because it seemed destined to win, but the tortoise, slow and steady, moved forward at its own pace. In the end, it was the turtle that crossed the finish line. Why? Because he didn't compare himself, didn't let himself be sidetracked, didn't run with the rush of others. He ran at his own pace. That's what personal success is. It's not about getting there first. It's about getting where you want to go, at your own pace. Psychology confirms this. Research on subjective well-being shows that those who define success based on internal values like authenticity, purpose, and meaningful relationships report greater happiness and resilience. In contrast, those who pursue goals, external needs, status, fame, money as the ultimate goal, often fall into cycles of endless dissatisfaction, because what is external is never enough. There will always be someone with more. What is internal, on the other hand, can give you fulfillment. Ask yourself these questions. What things make me feel alive? When do I experience true peace? What moments do I want to remember on my deathbed? The answers that emerge are your compass to define success. And most importantly, accept that your definition may be different from others. You don't need to justify it, just live it. I want to propose a practical exercise. Write your personal success manifesto in 3 to 5 lines. For example, for me, success is having quality time with my family, taking care of my health, and contributing to the growth of others. Oh, for me, success is living in freedom, creating compassion, and maintaining inner peace. This manifesto will be your beacon amidst the noise. Whenever you doubt it, reread it. Remember also that your definition can evolve. What is important today may change over time. Success is not a fixed destination. It's a journey of transformation. And that's okay, because the essential thing is that at each stage, you live in coherence with what makes sense to you. Define your internal metrics as well. Don't measure your worth with other people's numbers. Salary, likes, titles. Create your own measurements. I've been true to my values. I'm cultivating genuine relationships. My life reflects what I say matters to me. These are the metrics that matter, the ones that will give you serenity at the end of the road. Imagine someone using a GPS to get to a destination. If you enter the wrong direction, the system can guide you perfectly, but to the wrong place. This is what happens when you adopt someone else's definition of success. You can be disciplined, achieve goals, but all in a direction that wasn't yours. The price is very high, a wasted life. That's why define your destination before you walk. Ask yourself what success means to me, and only to me. Not to my parents, not to my friends, not to society. The answer may surprise you. It may be simpler than you think. It may be more humble, more authentic, more yours, and that simplicity is power. The previous chapter taught you that the answers are within you. Now you understand that one of the most important is this: your own definition of success. If you don't define it, others will do it for you. And if you live by someone else's definition, you will always feel empty. In nature, there is a perfect example: ants. They are no match for birds, lions, or humans. They know their task. They fulfill it with discipline, and thanks to that, they survive and thrive. In the next chapter, we will learn from them the most powerful lesson, that discipline and perseverance, more than fleeting inspiration, are what build a life of true success. Chapter 8. Learn from the ants. Imagine an endless line of ants carrying breadcrumbs. Each one carries a weight that, compared to its size, seems impossible. They don't complain. They don't stop to watch what the others are doing. They don't wait for the perfect moment. They simply advance step by step with iron discipline. It doesn't matter how long the distance is or how small the piece is. They carry it, store it, and return for more. And so, with perseverance, they manage to accumulate reserves that guarantee the survival of the entire colony. Ants don't depend on motivation. They don't wait to be inspired to act. Their strength lies in discipline, in the habit of doing what is necessary without excuses. This is one of the most powerful lessons nature can teach us. True progress isn't built with bursts of enthusiasm, but with daily perseverance. We, on the other hand, tend to depend too much on inspiration. We want to feel motivated to start the project, to exercise, to study, to change our habits. But motivation is like the weather. It changes constantly. Some days the sun shines, others it rains non-stop. If you wait for motivation to appear, you'll make uneven progress, with long periods of stagnation. Discipline, on the other hand, is like an engine that keeps running, even if it's stormy outside. Behavioral psychology confirms that small, consistent habits produce much more powerful transformations than sporadic efforts. James Clear, author of Atomic Habits, explains it clearly. A 1% improvement a day may seem insignificant, but accumulated over time, it produces extraordinary results. Just as an ant doesn't build an anthill in one trip, you don't build a fulfilling life in one effort. It's the constant repetition that makes the difference. Visualize your larger goal. Maybe it's writing a book, starting a business, changing your health, learning a new language. Ability. It seems immense, perhaps unattainable, but if you break it down into tiny steps and repeat them every day, you'll soon notice that the progress is real. Like the ant, it doesn't ask how many kilometers it has left, it simply takes the next step. You can focus on today's small step forward. Imagine your goal is to write a 300-page book. If you write just 1 page a day, you'll have it in less than a year. A page a day doesn't seem like much, but Consistency turns small things into monumental achievements. Or think about your health. A 20-minute walk a day, sustained for months, can transform your body and your energy more than a week of intense gym work followed by quitting. Here's the key. Discipline is greater than motivation. Motivation is the spark that ignites it, but discipline is the fire that keeps it burning. If you learn to take action even when you don't feel like it, you will have mastered one of the greatest secrets of success. I want to suggest a practical exercise. Write down your most important goal right now, then break it down into steps so small you can't fail. Want to read more? Start with 5 pages a day. Want to save money? Set aside a small amount weekly, even if it's symbolic. Want to improve your physical fitness? Exercise for 5 minutes every day. These small steps are your breadcrumbs, and each one adds to the anthill of your life. Remember, too, that discipline doesn't mean lifeless rigidity. Just as ants work together and celebrate their collective achievement, you too can give yourself permission to acknowledge your progress. Celebrate each small step because it's evidence of your perseverance. Another lesson. The ant's strength is resilience. If an obstacle blocks their path, they don't give up. They look for another route, go around the stone, climb over it, never losing sight of their ultimate purpose. That adaptability is part of their discipline. It's not about moving forward only when everything is clear, but about moving forward even when the path demands creativity. Life, like the ant's path, is full of stones and detours. If your discipline depends on everything being easy, you'll give up at the first difficulty. But if you adopt the mindset of the persistent, flexible, determined ant, you'll learn to find alternative paths without losing your way. Ask yourself, what's preventing me from moving forward with the perseverance of an ant? I'm waiting to feel motivated. I'm looking for immediate results. I'm giving up at the first obstacle. Recognizing these traps is the first step to overcoming them. The next time you doubt, remember the image of the ant carrying a piece 10 times larger than itself. If it can move forward with that much weight, you can move forward with your load too. Perhaps slowly, perhaps with effort, but always moving forward. The previous chapter showed you the importance of defining your own success. This chapter teaches you that to achieve it, discipline is more important than fleeting inspiration. Define your goal, divide it into small steps, and move forward like an ant, without complaints, without pause, with determination. In the next chapter, we will see an even deeper truth, that on this disciplined path you will inevitably encounter setbacks, and there you will discover another vital lesson. You should not fear falls, because they are part of the journey, invisible steps toward your true growth. Chapter 9. Don't be afraid to fall. A young entrepreneur dreamed of launching a company that would change the world. He raised money, assembled a team, and launched himself with all the enthusiasm he could muster. After a year, everything collapsed. Debts, frustration, criticism. He felt like a failure, ashamed, defeated. For months he thought about giving up, until one day he read the biography of an entrepreneur he admired. He discovered that his idol had failed 3 times before succeeding. Suddenly he understood that his fall wasn't the end, but part of the process. He regained his strength, tried again, and eventually achieved what seemed impossible. His first failure became the foundation of his success. That's how life works. Failure isn't an end point, it's a step on the ladder. But many misinterpret this. They believe that falling means being worthless, incapable, having no future. That belief destroys dreams more than failure itself. Because it's not the fall that kills, it's the decision not to get up. Think of a bamboo bridge hanging over a river. At first glance it seems fragile and unsafe. You cross it with fear. You feel each step is unsteady, but the only way to get to the other side is to walk, even if it's wobbly. Failure is that bridge. It's scary, but you have to cross it if you want to get somewhere different. Humanity's greatest achievements are built on mountains of failure. Thomas Edison tried more than 1,000 times before he got his light bulb to work. When asked how he endured so many failed attempts, he replied, "I didn't fail. I discovered ways that didn't work." Walt Disney was fired from a newspaper because he lacked creativity. Steve Jobs was ousted from his own company before returning and revolutionizing technology. Each fall provided fertile ground for his victory. Modern psychology supports this view. Studies on resilience show that people who reinterpret failure as learning develop greater emotional strength, greater adaptability, and greater long-term success. In contrast, those who view it as a sign of inadequacy often remain trapped in paralysis and self-criticism. I want you to understand something fundamental. Failing doesn't mean you're a loser. Failing means you tried. And only those who dare to try have the chance to transform their lives. Those who never fail are those who never try, but that is the greatest failure of all, not having truly lived. Ask yourself this question: which is worse, falling or reaching the end of your life regretting never having tried? The answer is obvious. Regret is a poison that accumulates over the years, while the scars of failure become medals of experience. I want to propose a powerful exercise. Think about your last failure. Write it down on a piece of paper. Then write down 3 lessons that experience taught you. Maybe you learned to plan better, to surround yourself with other people, to manage your emotions. Those 3 lessons are the true treasure hidden beneath the mask of failure. Keep that piece of paper and read it every time life hits you again. It will remind you that failures are not, losses are learning experiences. Remember also that failure is relative. What you call a fall today may be the turn that brought you to the right place tomorrow. Many look back and realize that what seemed like a disaster was actually a necessary redirection. Life isn't punishing you when you fall, it's training you. Imagine a child learning to walk. They take 2 steps and fall. No one calls them a failure. Everyone applauds, cheers them on, lifts them up, because we understand that falling is part of learning. At what point did we forget that truth? Why do we, as adults, punish ourselves for falling instead of celebrating it as part of the process? Life will always be a learning process in motion. Resilience doesn't mean not falling. It means getting up again and again. It means understanding that falls shape you, polish you, and strengthen you. Every time you get up, you are wiser, stronger, and more human. Ask yourself, what would you do if you knew for sure that you would fail several times before you succeeded? The answer should be obvious. You would try again and again until you succeeded, because you would already know that falling is part of the journey. That mindset is what distinguishes those who move forward from those who remain paralyzed. The previous chapter taught you the discipline of the ant, to advance step by step without depending on motivation. This chapter teaches you that on that disciplined path, falling isn't a detour, it's part of the map. Don't be afraid to fall, because in every stumble lies a teacher. I want you to engrave this phrase in your mind. Failure isn't the opposite of success, it's part of success. Every mistake is a brick in the construction of your life. Every stumble is a footprint in the mud that proves you've walked. True failure would be standing still, hoping everything will be safe. Life isn't measured by the number of times you fall, but by the number of times you decide to get up. And as long as you keep getting up, you'll keep moving forward, because to fall is human, but to get up is divine. Now that you've gone through these chapters, you've learned to let go of perfection, to protect your focus, to live in the present, to not give your time to others, to compare yourself only to yourself, to listen to your inner self, to define your own success, to learn discipline from ants, and to not fear falling. You've discovered a complete path to a more conscious and fulfilling life. In the next part of this audiobook, we'll enter even more practical territory. I'll show you specific routines, habits, and exercises that you can apply starting today to regain your focus, stop giving away your time, and build a life aligned with who you truly are. Because everything you've learned is useless if you don't put it into action. And the action begins now, until now. We have traveled a journey of consciousness. You understood that perfection paralyzes, that your focus is sacred, that life only happens in the present, that your time is a non-renewable treasure, that external comparison robs you of peace, that the answers are within you, that success must have your own definition, that the discipline of ants surpasses motivation, and that there is no need to fear falling. All of this gives you clarity, but now you need action, because clarity without action is just a dream, and action without clarity is chaos. Here you will find practical tools to integrate these ideas into your daily life. First routine of 3 daily habits to regain focus. Every day is full of noise and distractions. If you don't create a system to protect yourself, they will consume you. That's why I want to propose 3 daily habits that, applied consistently, can transform your productivity and your peace of mind. The intentional morning habit. When you wake up, dedicate the first 15 minutes of the day to yourself, before looking at your phone, before opening emails, before taking on the world. It can be meditating, writing, reading something inspiring, or simply breathing. It's a reminder that your life begins with you, not with external demands. The 3 priorities. Habit. Every morning, write down on a piece of paper the 3 most important things you want to accomplish today. Just 3. It's not about doing a lot, but about doing the essentials. When you get to the end of the day, you will feel real satisfaction seeing that you made progress on what matters. The mindful closing habit. Before going to sleep, write a short note with the best things you accomplished during the day and 1 thing you want to improve tomorrow. This simple act trains your mind to focus on progress, not perfection. 2. The non-digital method. 1 hour without screens. We live trapped in an ocean of screens: phone, computer, television. The problem isn't the technology itself, but the dependence we've created. You need to recover moments of true disconnection. This is where the non-digital method comes in. Set aside at least 1 hour a day. A completely screen-free day, no cell phone, no social media, no emails. It can be in the morning, at night, or at lunch. Use that time to read a physical book, converse uninterrupted, walk, contemplate. You'll discover something surprising. Your mind breathes, your creativity is activated, your energy is renewed. That hour is an oasis in the middle of the desert of hyperconnectivity. 3rd journaling exercise. Where am I giving away my time? You need to take inventory of your life. Every week, write a detailed list of how you spent your time, on what activities, with what people, what distractions. Then ask yourself the key question: what in all this builds me up, and what destroys me? Circle the time leaks that don't contribute anything with a red circle and commit to reducing them. You might discover that you spend 3 hours a day on social media, that you accept unnecessary meetings, that you binge-watch TV shows. It's not about eliminating all leisure time. It's about regaining control. Because your time is life and no one but you should decide where to invest it. 4th daily micro-action. Anchoring your personal commitment. The most common mistake when trying to change is trying to transform everything at once. This leads to burnout and abandonment. The key is micro-action. A small concrete gesture repeated every day that reinforces your commitment. It can be as simple as writing a line in your progress notebook, doing 10 push-ups, reading 2 pages, saving a coin, sending a thank you message. The action itself isn't important. What matters is that every day you remember, I am committed to my life. That repetition creates identity, and your identity creates your destiny. 5. A practice of immediate presence. Breath 1-2. Whenever you feel overwhelmed or scattered, do this exercise anywhere. Inhale through your nose for a count of 4. Hold the air in your lungs for a count of 4 and exhale slowly for a count of 8. Do this 3 times in a row. It's a mental reset. This simple practice activates your parasympathetic nervous system, calms your mind, and brings you back to the present. It's like hitting a reset button that reminds you life is now. 6. The art of saying no respectfully. Every time someone asks you for something you don't want or that doesn't align with your priorities, instead of justifying yourself with endless explanations, use short, clear phrases. Thank you, but I can't. It's not possible for me now. I'd rather not do it. The more you practice this, the more natural it will become. And with every no you say to the unnecessary, you will be saying a big yes to your life. 7. The mirror rule, personal progress. Each week, choose an area of your life, health, finances, relationships, personal development, and compare yourself only with yourself. Ask yourself how I was in this area 3 months ago. Zrenia, what small advances did I make? Log, what adjustments do I need now? This comparison with yourself is the most honest mirror there is, and the only one that truly drives you to grow. These practices are not complicated or require special tools. They are small keys that, if you use them every day, will open immense doors. Remember, change does not happen in an instant. It happens in the accumulation of daily micro-actions. You don't need to transform your entire life tomorrow. You just need to start today, here, now. No one is going to live for you. No one can breathe for you. No one can walk for you. No one can decide for you. This is your only life. There is no dress rehearsal, no second chance, no do-over. What you don't live today will be lost forever. Throughout this journey, we have discussed many profound truths. You learned that perfection is a trap that paralyzes, that your focus is the secret weapon that defines your destiny, that life only exists in the present, and that your time is a treasure you should not give away to others. You discovered that external comparison robs you of peace, that the answers lie within, and that true success is what you define, not what society imposes on you. You saw the power of discipline in the ants and understood that falls are not defeats, but steps toward your growth. Each chapter was a piece of a puzzle, and today you see it complete. Your life is too valuable to continue wasting it. Your time is life, and if you don't protect it, you're giving it away. I want you to imagine for a moment on your last day. Imagine that there's no tomorrow, that your hourglass is about to empty. What would you look back on with pride? What would you regret not having done? Most people, when they reach that point, don't regret what they tried and failed at, but what they never dared to try. They regret not having truly lived, not having loved more, not having said what they felt, not having followed their own path. Don't let that be your destiny. Your life can't keep being postponed. You can't wait for the perfect moment to arrive, because it won't. You can't wait to feel ready, because you'll never be quite ready. You can't wait for fear to go away, because fear always accompanies the brave. The only answer is to act today. Remember, every time you say tomorrow, the world responds too late. Every day you procrastinate is a day buried in the graveyard of excuses. But every day you choose to act, even if it's just a small step, is a seed of the future you plant in the present. Time is the fire in which we burn, wrote Delmore Schwartz. That fire can consume you with distractions, empty routines, and other people's validation, or it can light your path with purpose and passion. You choose how to burn. I want to leave you with a practical and emotional commitment. Close your eyes for a moment and say softly, "Today is my day. Today I begin. Today I focus on me. Today I stop giving away my life." Repeat this until you feel those words resonate within you. It's a pact with yourself. No matter how many times you've fallen, no matter how much time you've wasted, no matter how many mistakes you've made, the only thing that matters is what you do now. Life always begins again in this moment, and you have the opportunity to start again today. Make it imperfect, make it fearful, make it even if you doubt it, but make it, because action is the bridge between your dreams and your reality. Don't let your ship rust in the harbor. Cast off the lines and sail, even if the seas are not calm. Move forward with what you have, from where you are to where you want to go. Life doesn't ask for perfection. It asks for presence. It doesn't ask for comparison. It asks for authenticity. It doesn't ask for excuses. It asks for courage. This is your only attempt, and the question is, are you going to waste it, or are you going to honor it? The answer isn't tomorrow. It's in what you decide today. So listen carefully to this final call. Act now. Not when it's perfect, not when it's easy, not when you have time. Yes,